If not, I think we're going to ask Travis. Has got a few slides on some of the technology we're using with drones and thermal cameras. So we're going to have him go through that. The main purpose that we started looking at drones was for leak detection, and he'll show you some really interesting footage, I think, or some pictures that show that.
All right, yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I am Travis Roque. I've been with NutriDrip for a little over 2 years now, a little bit of part-time, trying to fit some college classes in, but full-time now. So each day is unique and exciting as we're using all this new technology. So yeah, like you said, I'll share a little bit with you. Okay. All right, looking at a soil-based or single sensor versus using aerial imagery, some of the advantages and disadvantages of doing that. Single sensor, like a soil sensor like Kurt and Tim were talking about, you're looking at one specific spot in your field, or two if you have two sensors. One soil type, different slopes is going to make a difference too on the way the plant's responding and what you're able to tell by your moisture sensor. On the other hand, with a aerial imagery, using a drone or satellite imagery, whatever you're using, you're able to look at the whole field, get a whole big picture on what's really happening across your whole field and how it's looking. It really got to use a single soil sensor in there also, just to give you kind of a benchmark to see if a stressed area that you're picking up with aerial imagery, it's really because of water stress, or if you're stressing for some other reason, it kind of gives you a benchmark to compare what you're seeing in the other field against. Okay, so some of the sensors that we've been using on our aircrafts, and they can get through satellite or airplanes also, is the RGB, or a visible camera. That's what you can see with your eyes. It's whatever picture's taken in. A multispectral, you're looking at single wavelengths. Sometimes it's a visible wavelength that you can see, the red or green, but it's looking at single wavelengths and combining them to make different vegetative indexes. And then thermal infrared is picking up heat radiation, or radiation emitted from a surface. And going down the list, each of those cameras gets more expensive in that order, thermal being the most expensive. You can kind of see on the electromagnetic spectrum where each of those wavelengths lie. So using an RGB camera or a visible camera, we can depict several things. Just flying over a field, you can pick out drowned out spots, planter issues, green snap if you had hail damage, things like that. It's real easy to pick that up. It's real easy to fly over, get stuff like that. And we can also take a whole bunch of pictures, and we have software that'll stitch them together so you can get a whole field map, really what's going on across your whole field. Multispectral. We don't currently have a sensor that measures multispectral wavelengths, but we're able to use the software to create a false multispectral image, or an MDVI. It's taking the visible colors and associating another color with them to pick out stress. It lets you see stressed areas a little bit more. This is the same picture, and this one on the right is run with the false NDVI, and you're able to see stressed areas just a little bit better. You can see up in the top, it's a little healthier. Down here in the bottom corner also, and then obviously the red stressed areas. And that stress is coming from several things, whether it's water stress, insect pressure, nutrient deficiencies. It's not a fly your drone and figure out exactly what's wrong. You usually got to tromp around in your field before you can really fine-tune what's going on. And then the thermal infrared. This is, if you can see it, it's kind of hard to see. The thermal camera we use is fairly low resolution just to keep the cost down. You can see the cooler areas in the picture are represented by a darker color. Hotter areas are a lighter color. You can see up there. And then the green dot is given a temperature reading of what that particular pixel, the temperature associated with that is. So across your whole field, you're able to see that this is the same field on that last slide I had. You'll see that healthier spot up here in the field, and then your hotter stress spots, whether that's from soil, different types of your soil, or whether there's other stresses there that's causing the plants to be warmer. This slide's the same picture, but this is here's the visual picture. You really can't see the stress just looking at it that way, but with a thermal image, you're able to pick up areas that aren't visible to the naked eye. This is another picture, the same comparison, same picture, just one's thermal, one's visual. And we're looking at a leak over a field, it's bare ground. You can see it really pops out on the thermal image. The numbers I have here are the temperatures in this box, the high temperature, the low temperature, and then the average. So we got a 6-degree difference between the leak and where the bare ground is. So it shows up real quick. Like when we're out flying over a field, I think my next slide. Nope. This last one, this was a fully canopied bean field, so you weren't able to see the ground at all. There with the temperature difference, but right here you can see a leak. It's on a slope, so that water was leaking towards the top, was running down the hill. And those bean plants, based on my camera, the temperature readout, we were 4 degrees difference between the plants beside it and then the ones that were getting that extra water. They were 4 degrees cooler. We were able to pick that up, and even when it was fully canopied. This year's same field again. It's a different field, but same field in this picture. This here picture was just a thermal camera taken by an aircraft plane that flew over, I think, once a week. This over here is just an NDVI image, the false one generated by our drones. So they're both still showing stress, just a different way of looking at it. You can see we had an issue, and I think an irrigation line was kinked, and we weren't getting water through a couple lines. You can see that stressed areas there and also here. So those are just different ways we're able to use drones and different cameras to pick up on stress and tell us really what's going on across the whole field. So that's really all I had. If there's questions, fire away. Yes, sir. We haven't. I know there has been research done that the question was if we've overlaid yield maps on top of our NDVI, and I know there's been a lot of people that do that, and we haven't. There's a very strong correlation to an NDVI map to yield, but we haven't done that. Anybody else? All right, thanks for your attention.
Okay, thanks, Travis. So just a couple notes on maintenance. The goal this year is that all of our service trucks will have a drone with a thermal camera in it. So as we come around to do your startups, we'll be doing this as part of our startup. For those of you that got our maintenance contracts in the mail here in the last week or so, that'll be included in part of your spring startup. The method we used to use in the spring to start systems up was to just drive a four-wheeler back and forth. It takes a lot of time to do that, and you don't actually see everything when you're 5 foot off the ground. As soon as you can get 100 foot off the ground, it's a lot easier to see what's going on and be a lot more efficient. So that's definitely something we're using more and more of, and helping us out, seeing what's going on, and then into the growing season to know what that uniformity looks like.